The New Orleans Saints just got some very positive news regarding their roster on Thursday on the offensive line units from OTAs, a position group that, as we all know, the team has invested a significant amount of resources into for a decade, and it has simply just been a problem for the team over the last 3 to 4 years. Hopefully this season though, they won't have to worry about the unit, and hopefully for upcoming seasons they won't have to worry about it for quite some time. Especially with the news we just got about the offensive line, hopefully it will lead to some positive results. My name is Cash, and before we dive more into that, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe, help us reach 10K, we're super close, so you can stay up to date with all Saints and NFL content we will be posting here on a daily basis. Make sure to like the video, and let's dive into the Saints offensive line update. On Thursday, we got some pretty significant updates regarding the Saints offensive line at the first OTA showcasing to the media. It's really one of the bigger questions when it comes to the roster in my opinion, because where did they line everyone up at the offensive line? The Saints drafted Talise Fuaga last year as a natural right tackle, but then the Saints switched him over to left tackle for his rookie season. He played there for the first time ever, and I think he had a pretty solid rookie season. Trevor Penning, who was a left tackle his whole life, was moved over to right tackle last year, and he was solid. He improved from his previous seasons. But then this past April, the Saints drafted a left tackle out of Texas in Kelvin Banks, who has been a left tackle his whole life. So that leaves some questions. Where did these three guys all line up? Three guys who have played tackle. There's only 2 tackle positions. How did the Saints kind of arrange this? The Saints left guard position was a massive hole in the offensive line. Who's going to play there? Does any one of the 3 tackles get moved around, or will one of them be a backup? Some even said Kelvin Banks could play left guard his rookie year, but I'm not a big fan of that opinion. But luckily though, we did get some answers at OTAs and from Kellen Moore regarding the offensive line, and what they're doing I think is best case scenario, and it makes the most sense for the team moving forward. Based on what reporters had to say, rookie left tackle Kelvin Banks was at left tackle, Trevor Penning was at left guard, and Talise Fuaga was at right tackle as the starting offensive line, with Eric McCoy at center and Cesar Ruiz of course at right guard. And in my opinion, this was the perfect way to approach the offensive line from this coaching staff. Let the rookie Kelvin Banks play at his natural position at the most important position on the offensive line, left tackle. You just took him with the 9th overall pick. Let him be your foundational left tackle and protect whoever is back there at quarterback. Let Talise Fuaga play his natural position at right tackle, something he's done his whole life, something that made him really good in college. Let him play there. That works out great. And as for Trevor Penning, left guard isn't his natural position, neither is right tackle, but he surely isn't going to be playing left tackle, and he isn't beating anyone out at the tackle positions because Fuaga and Banks are just simply better than him at those spots. He could possibly serve as a backup tackle in the case of an injury, but right now left guard is Trevor Penning's best chance to find a home on the Saints team, and maybe even in the NFL. Trevor Penning's going into a contract year, the 4th year of his rookie contract. The Saints did not pick up his 5th year option, but they did pick up Chris Olave's. Kind of says what the team thinks of him right now, and also too, his 5th year option would have been like $16 million more than Chris Olave, and that simply wasn't going to happen. Trevor Penning had issues his first 2 to 3 years, had some injuries, then he just simply was horrible his 2nd year. Year 3 for him was pretty decent. He improved. He looked pretty good in the Clint Kubiak system. But now he's heading into year 4. He's not going to be a tackle. He's going to have to find a spot at left guard. This could maybe be his last chance. Many fans since Trevor Penning was drafted actually have been saying that Trevor Penning could play guard, while other people said that he's not a guard because it just doesn't work. If he's struggling at tackle, he's going to struggle on the inside where things happen faster, where his footwork is more important, where he has to be more aware. Some people think that maybe he's not fit out to be a guard, while some people do think he is. Well, Kellen Moore was asked about whether or not Trevor Penning has the physical abilities and skill set to play left guard, and he said Trevor Penning has the physical ability absolutely to move inside to guard and be a left guard for the Saints. And then he also said right here, Trevor's physicality, demeanor, it feels like guard gives him an excellent opportunity because that's his best opportunity to get onto the football field. And now something Trevor Penning has going for him is now he has a staff that can work with him to make sure he can be prepared at the guard position because they've done this before and very recently. This coaching staff and Kellen Moore, TJ Paganetti, Doug Nussmeier, and a few other guys, they just came over from Philadelphia where they had to move Mekhi Becton from tackle to guard. And he was a guy who was cut by the Jets, really wasn't having a good career, and then when he went to guard, he was actually pretty solid for the Philadelphia Eagles, but then they let him go in free agency and he signed with the Chargers. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes that maybe he wasn't picking up. He definitely wasn't the best lineman on the Eagles, but he was definitely good enough to be one of the top free agents this year. Kellen Moore mentioned that Trevor Penning right now is actually ahead of schedule compared to Mekhi Becton last offseason. They said Mekhi Becton last year didn't really switch to guard until the end of OTA, so kind of the middle of June, while Trevor Penning has kind of made the switch over at the start and before OTAs. But Kellen Moore mentioned the success that they saw with Mekhi Becton to guard last year for the first time, and he did it later than Trevor Penning did, and there's certainly something that gives the coaching staff confidence in Trevor Penning doing it right now. So Trevor Penning being ahead of schedule and ahead of where Mekhi Becton was last year, I think is a positive sign that maybe Trevor Penning can develop into at least a solid left guard, be a starting left guard, especially with this coaching staff. And something else that's positive that's going on behind the scenes, which is actually important, is that Trevor Penning is embracing it. Kellen Moore said he's doing an excellent job and he's embracing it. A few years ago, we saw Alontae Taylor kind of be hesitant, hated playing in the slot, didn't want to play in the slot, said he was an outside corner, and then he struggled in the slot. But then when he kind of embraced being a slot corner coming into 2024, he looked really good, looked like he fit there. So Trevor Penning embracing the role, embracing that position, I think is a good thing. He's not being against it, and that's a way for him to get onto the football field. As of right now, the offensive line isn't fully set or official. We still have months before the first week of the NFL season. Kellen Moore mentioned that they're going to continue to rotate and experiment with the offensive line positions, try to get the best 5 players on the field, see who fits best where. But Kellen Moore also mentioned that continuity is important to make sure that these guys are getting reps at the positions that they need to be getting reps at and not doing 50-50, kind of confused, getting the wrong assignments. So continuity is important, and it sounds like the plan is Banks and Fuaga at offensive tackle, their natural sides, Banks at left, Fuaga at right, with Trevor Penning at guard, will be the primary plan moving forward. And this just makes the most sense, and I think this is best case scenario, and it's common sense for the Saints offensive line, and I'm glad the coaching staff is leaning into it and just kind of going with what makes the most sense, especially to the fan base, because it felt like for a long time Dennis Allen and his coaching staff would do the complete opposite of what made sense to the fans. And even if Trevor Penning can't find a way to be the starting left guard, so be it. If the best 5 starting offensive linemen is Radens over Trevor Penning, so be it. Keep your tackles where they need to be, and the coaching staff seems to be doing the smart thing here. Talise Fuaga spoke on Trevor Penning moving from tackle to left guard, and he said that he thinks it's pretty cool because he's a really explosive dude. If you guys really watch his game, and especially out of a 3-point stance, I think he's a bully when it comes to that stuff. And he's kind of right. Trevor Penning in the running game is a bully. One of the reasons the Saints really liked him and what made him a first-round pick in 2022, a projected first-round pick, was his athleticism. He's a big dude who's athletic and can get out. He's agile, but he was a raw guy coming out of college, needed development, and we really haven't seen the Saints coaching staff develop him the right way until this past season. But he is a good run blocker. Put him at guard. If he can get the right coaching from the Saints coaches, he could maybe be a pretty good player there. But that's the big question. Can he make the transition there? Can he be a solid guard, a starting caliber player at the left guard position, and not injure his quarterback and not mess up the assignment and pick up stunts from the guard position where things are happening faster, where he has to trust his footwork more, where he has to be more alert and stuff like that than it is on tackle, where you can kind of protect yourself a little bit more. With guard, you have a lot more coming at you, and it's coming at you a lot faster. So he has the physical abilities, in my opinion, and the skill set to play guard, but can the mental stuff, can the footwork, the technique get there to make that transition? That to me is the biggest question. Kellen Moore mentioned that when he told Talise Fuaga that he was moving to right tackle, that he wasn't phased at all, it wasn't a big deal, and that people make a bigger deal out of who plays left tackle and who plays right tackle more so than it needs to be taken. Kellen Moore said he doesn't really care about the left tackle or right tackle components in this league, said people tend to make a bigger deal out of it than it really is. And then he said when he told Talise Fuaga he was going back to right tackle, he simply just said, okay, unfazed, unbothered, he's just going to go back to work and grind and be pretty good at it. He was solid at left tackle last season. There are some iffy things, but then if Banks is really good at left tackle, you have your left tackle set for the next 10 years. And if Fuaga can be the guy who he was in college at right tackle for the Saints, they might have 2 bookend tackles for this rebuild, which is franchise changing, and it's a great way to start this rebuild with Eric McCoy in the center. Of course, the offensive line could potentially be set for years to come. There is of course going to probably be an adjustment for Flugga moving back to right tackle at the NFL level, but that's what he's done his whole life. That's his natural position. We saw him at his unnatural position last year. There's going to be an adjustment for him moving back, but I'm not too worried about him moving to right tackle, and I'm not too worried for Kelvin Banks. I'm excited to see him play. He's come from a big school. He was a top 10 pick, and he was a really good player in college. I want to see how he can protect the quarterback's blind side. And hopefully moving forward, this will solidify the offensive line for the Saints, which has been such a problem for the team over the past 3 to 4 years. And I think a huge component that could maybe turn this offensive line into a top 5, top 7 unit as opposed to a top 10, top 15 is Trevor Penning's ability to play guard and if he can make that transition. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Saints making these adjustments to the offensive line. Like I said earlier, to me it makes the most sense, and I'm glad they're doing it. It's common sense. Let the tackles play their natural spots and see if Trevor Penning can play guard. You just had Mekhi Becton in this coaching staff. Move him to guard. So see if you can do that again. That's what I got for today's video. I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to subscribe. Help us reach 10K. We're super close. My name's Kaj, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Peace.